Hello and welcome back. It is 9 o'clock today, which means I'm a little bit more awake, and hopefully you can hear that in my voice. Today I'm going to be drawing some facial expressions. I felt like I needed to practice, so I went ahead and found this template online. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen right there so you guys can see it in case you want to follow along. I figured that if I was going to be daily posting, I would go ahead and use the opportunity to practice some things that I struggle with. Hopefully next week I'll be doing some some gesture drawings. Don't hold me to that though, because I move like the wind and I change my mind on a whim all the time, so don't take anything I say too seriously. Yes. Yeah, but I struggle with expressions, and my New Year's resolution last year was to draw more expressions, and I did that a little bit. I've been trying to push them a bit more, but I still need some more practice, so here's this video. And as you watch as the video goes along, you'll see that I have some trouble even recreating exactly what the expressions are on the faces from the template. Like, I get them just a little bit off, and the expressions don't feel like the ones that they're expressing in the template, but that's okay. That's what we're practicing for. All right. And then I'm also going to be practicing drawing characters consistently. So as I'm drawing these expressions, I'm going to be drawing the same character for the whole thing and for the whole page, and that character is my character Duke. He's an OC of mine. He came up in a story that I was writing in about 2021, which would mean that in, I believe, August or July of this year, he will be about 3 years old. So congratulations. He's not actually 3 years old, obviously. In the story, he is a college senior, so he is around 22 or 23 years old, and he's kind of an asshole while simultaneously being he's the antagonist of the story and also the deuteragonist of the story, which basically means he's like the second lead character. Maybe I'll go ahead and tell you more about his story later, but I doubt it. But I will probably end up drawing the main character of his story eventually on this channel, because the characters in that story are the ones that are pretty much in this entire sketchbook. So yes, like I said before, I am not great at drawing characters consistently, which you will see in this video, but that's why we're practicing. And like I said, I'm not great at drawing them consistently, but I'll go ahead and let you know what I try to do to make sure that the character looks like the same person every time I draw them. And even if they don't look exactly the same, just that by looking at them you can tell, okay, I'm pretty sure that guy is supposed to be the same person. So I like to figure out firstly what I want their head shape to be, and by that I usually mean like the jawline. If I want the jaw to be more round or more sharp, as you can see with Duke, his jawline is more square and it cuts in, and he has like a very short chin, a narrow chin, compared to other drawings that I do. So when I draw him, I try to make sure he has a square jaw and that narrow chin. I also try to pick out different eye shapes and hairstyles that are simple to replicate, and like the same time each time. So with Duke, you can see that he's got that one little hair strand that's on the right side. When from our perspective, it's on the right side of his forehead, as well as slick back hair that also sweeps more to the right side. And just doing these things for your characters can help you differentiate them from the other characters that you're drawing. Try to combat same face syndrome, if that's what you're trying to do, which is something I try to do because I'm trying to make them look different, because the format I'm trying to put them in is like a comic style thing, so you don't want all your characters looking the same in a comic. If you just like to do illustrations, I feel like there's nothing wrong with having same face syndrome. There's lots of artists that pretty much only draw the same face, and if that's what you like to do, that's what you like to do. I'm not going to judge that. But for me personally, I like to make them look different. I also try to make sure that the nose size and shape is consistent. When I'm in this little doodle sketchbook, I don't draw noses. Even in my regular stuff, I don't really draw noses. I just draw the 2 dots and then I just color it in to have like a suggestion of a nose. And so when I'm in my little doodle style, I just draw a little triangle, just because it's easier and I'm lazy. So I try to make sure that my little nose triangle is a consistent size and shape. I'm not great at doing that. But we try our best. And like I said, these things are gonna change when you're trying to do expressions, especially when you're trying to exaggerate expressions. Like, you'll see that his eyes are not the same shape consistently in this. And when I do expression challenges like this, what I really struggle with is how much of your style is translated into an expression. Like, if I want to make sure that my character has different sets of eyes than the other ones, but I want to make them have a really wide-eyed expression, how much of the style do you get away with? And that I mean, do I just throw in the style of the eyes and just make them really, really big? Or do I try to keep the style of the eyes and just make them a little bit bigger for the expression? What I think I've come up with is that you should kind of throw style away when you're trying to really, really push expressions to an extent. But like I said, I'm still struggling about that, and I'm trying to think about what I would like in that department. So yeah, the only things that probably won't change when you're trying to draw your character will probably be their face shape. I don't think his jaw shape or his nose shape is going to change, even with the type of expression I'm drawing. Until you get into perspective, where things get bigger and smaller. But I'm not talking about perspective, because if I start talking about perspective, I'll probably start to cry. Have you guys ever tried drawing in perspective? I've tried drawing in perspective. I think that I need to master some more things before I move on to that. Yeah, but when it comes to the consistency advice, I wouldn't say it's advice exactly, more of just tips for what I do. I'm not even sure if I would really say go ahead and follow that, but if you're struggling and you thought maybe those were some good ideas, I hope that helped you. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, I've been talking about this sketchbook, but I didn't tell you which sketchbook that we're drawing in today. This is my doodle / comic sketchbook. This is a sketchbook I use most of the time, and for a month or so I was really just pumping out pages, and then I got some art block, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's a sketchbook that I use for my comic and character ideas. Like I said, this character Duke, he has a whole story that goes with him and another whole cast of characters that goes into that story. And I pretty much only draw them in this sketchbook, and ideas I have for them, because they're kind of my main OCs. So yeah, there's nothing really finished in here, because that's not what this is for. You've seen my finished sketchbook last week. So yeah, that's why I put finished stuff, and this one is just to get ideas down. And I don't really like the paper for markers. It's kind of slippery. And it just feels weird with regular markers. And by that I mean alcohol markers. I used them in here, but I really didn't like the way that turned out. And I think that's because I was lazy with the drawing. But the reason why it came out weird is because I didn't sketch it in pencil, because I don't like the way that paper takes pencil. Since it's so smooth and I'm so heavy-handed when I draw, it's really hard to erase in, and then the paper gets stained with the pink, because I like to sketch in pink colored pencil, and I just try to avoid that. Yeah, it works great with gel pens and the watercolor brush pens I use on it though. And I like the square shape because it feels like it's a really good format for when I draw comics in here. Um, like I said, it is a square sketchbook. It is not an Elo sketchbook. I have tried the Elo sketchbooks before, and I do like them, mostly for their size and their shape. The 10 by 10 ones, and I believe this one is also a 10 by 10. Um, but it's not an Elo because they were sold out at the time. So I just went on Amazon and typed in square sketchbook that looked kind of similar. And I bought this one. I'm not sure what brand it is, but I'm sure it'll pop up if you just type in square sketchbook onto Amazon. Um, it has like a purple band across it. So yes, to keep it closed. So if you're looking, it's that one. Um, yeah. Um, then I guess I'll just go ahead and talk about the supplies I'm using today. Um, right now, you can see me using a pen, and that is a Pilot High Tech C in the size 0.3 and the color red. I can't remember when I first got into these pens, but it's been several years at this point, and they've been my favorite pens for just about as long as I've had them. Um, I really like that they're a needlepoint. So when you're drawing with them, they feel super scratchy. Other people are probably like, ew, scratchy. What do you mean? I know my dad for a fact hates these pens, but I love them. So if you like scratchy pens like I do, maybe you'll like these. I usually get them on jet pens, but I think that they might be discontinued or something because the last time I went on the website to buy them, they didn't have them in the rainbow colors anymore because I have these in literally every color that they used to come in. They come in like pretty much the whole rainbow, including brown. And I bought them in every color because I was like, I need them in every color, right? The mind of an artist, I need all of the pens all of the time. So when I ran out of the orange color, I went to go stock up on it again, but they only had the zero point 0.3 in black. Um, which I own a lot of them in black because I can't go wrong with black, but I didn't need a black one, I needed an orange one. I'm going to go ahead and admit that I kind of freaked out after that, and I went on like 10 different websites trying to figure out was going on, and I couldn't find them in zero point 0.3 anywhere. Um, I don't know if you guys have ever had your favorite pen be discontinued. Um, but I was like distraught for like a week after. I told everybody about it, and I was like, "Oh, my favorite pen has been discontinued. I don't know what I'm going to do." I found some of them. I found like another rainbow pack with like all of the colors in zero point 0.4, which is not that different, but for some reason in my heart it feels like it's super different in size, and it doesn't feel the same when I sketch with it. Even though I know in my brain it's like it's not that different. You barely can even tell the difference. Um, but it just feels different to me. So I bought like 3 packs of those in the zero point 0.4 size. Um, because I couldn't even find those in the zero point 0.4 individually anymore. I could only find them in the large packs. I don't know if like maybe they're like unpopular or they stopped importing them or something. Or maybe they stopped exporting them from Japan or whatever. But I can't find them anymore, and it's a super giant bummer. Like I said, the 3 packs that I bought should last me like several years because like I said, since they're needlepoint, they only let out a little bit of ink at a time. And I don't use them the same color every single time, so they last me a pretty long time. But I started to look into replacements for these pens. Um, and I got some Pilot Juice Up pens, and they have those in a lot of colors also, like the whole rainbow. But those come in a 0.38, which is closer to a 4 than it is to a 3. And also they're click pens and not cat pens. And it just feels so different. It's not the same. And I can notice the different sizes when I'm drawing, even though it's not that different, it's only a millimeters difference, but when I'm looking at it, I'm like, those are not the same size. And also, the colors are different. And it bothers me. I don't know if you guys are the same way, where if just like subtle differences bother you, but that bugs me a lot. Moving on, because I could rant about that for probably an hour. The other pen that I'm using today is the Ecoline brush pen. Um, they are water-based markers that I bought like a couple of years ago. Um, oh, and I forgot to mention, sorry, this color that I'm specifically using to color in today is the pastel red color. Yeah, but like I was saying, I bought these a couple of years ago because I figured that since they were watercolor brush pens, I could use them to cheat at watercolor. Because watercolor is my nemesis. Um, when I first got into drawing when I was younger, when I moved past using colored pencils, I was like, okay, I'll get into watercolor. Um, and no offense to people who like to watercolor, but personally, I hate watercolor. And it's not just watercolor, it's painting in general. I really don't like to wash brushes, and I don't like when the water gets everywhere, and I don't like waiting for paint to dry. Um, that's why I primarily, when I color, I use um alcohol markers. And when I say primarily, I mean I pretty much only use watercolor. I mean, I only use alcohol markers for finished illustrations. Because I can't do paint unless paint is like in a paint pen. Like I have some paint pens, and that help me when I want to like draw something chunky on like a canvas. And so I figured if I'm okay with paint pens, I might be okay with watercolor pens as a way to like force myself into liking watercolor. That plan did not work at all. I still do not like watercolor, and I don't really use these pens for coloring things in anyway, because even if you were gonna use them like watercolor, you would need to use water to like dilute them and mix colors, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I am not popping out water for anything. So, yeah, but it turns out, um, instead of cheating watercolor, I could just use these to add color into my sketchbook spreads, especially in this little sketchbook, um, like you see me doing on this spread right now. Just be forewarned if you thought, oh, well, those look nice. Maybe I do want to add those to my sketchbook spread. They are water based, so they do make the color run. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it would react with ballpoint pen, but I don't use ballpoint pens to sketch, so I'm not sure. But it does make this gel pen that I'm using, it does make it run a little bit. And by a little bit, it depends on the color that you're using. I know specifically for purple, the purple gets everywhere. Um, I'm okay with that because, like I said, these are just sketches to me, and also in certain places it darkens the color. And usually I use it in shadows or like hair, and I do want the color to be a little bit darker there, so that doesn't bother me. I'm not sure if that will bother you. That's something you have to search for in your heart and figure out. But they work great for what I use them for. I just wanted to go ahead and apologize for some things real quick. You might be thinking, weird, that came out of nowhere. But I've been thinking about this. So, as I watch the footage, I'm noticing that my hand really is covering up a lot of what I'm doing. I was filming from top down, and I think just the way that I hold my pen makes it weird to record. So I think that next time I'm gonna have to try and like maybe push the camera more to the left side. So maybe that way you're hopefully just not getting footage of my hand just wiggling around the paper and not seeing what I'm doing. My setup is for more top-down stuff, but I guess I'll try to see if I could do more over the shoulder type beats and see if that will be better for the footage. Um, Speaking of the footage, this video is pretty long. As you can see, it's like 30 minutes long, and I'm struggling to fill the runtime with speaking because I said that I would talk the whole time when I posted my videos, but I'm not like a super talkative person unless I'm on a rant about something, and it's hard to just rant out of nowhere. You have to have passion in your heart, and I don't have the passion in my heart super early in the morning. Um, so yeah, I'm having trouble talking for the whole time. But the footage of this is I'm only going to show you half of the drawings today. I actually filled up the whole page with drawings, but apparently it takes me longer to draw than I thought that it did because this took me an hour and like 15 minutes to draw the whole sheet of um character expressions. Um so I'm only showing you about half of them today because if I didn't, the video would be an hour and 15 minutes. And I know for a fact that I cannot talk for an hour and 15 minutes. I can barely force myself to talk for 30 minutes, and I'm really struggling over here. So yeah. And I know that I could just go ahead and speed up the footage and make it only half as long, but I really don't want to do that. I really just want these videos to be um real time videos because like I said, I really don't want to spend too much time editing these videos. I already spent a lot of time editing this one today um because I had to cut out all of the dead space for when I walk away because I needed to take breaks. Like I said, this was video was an hour and like 15 minutes um without cutting anything down. And I took a lot of breaks during that. I got to get better at turning the camera off when I'm taking a break for a second or moving my hand in between things. But if I do that, because I used to film videos like a really long time ago, I would always forget to turn the camera back on. And it's more of a pain to lose footage than it is to just go ahead and leave the camera on and cut it out. But like I said, I don't really want to spend a lot of time cutting, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, um, just, what's it called? A lot of time, speeding the videos up. So I'm going to try to do something else. And it's not that I don't want to spend a lot of time on my videos. But like I said, I spend a lot of time drawing and I do still have a full-time job and I do want to still do other hobbies that I have. So I just want to dedicate as much mind space to this that I can without it having a detrimental effect on the other things that I want to be doing. So I'm sorry if seems lazy or whatever, but I'm trying to just do my best with the time that I have. Um, is there anything that you guys are interested in hearing me talk about? I know you're probably thinking, wow, you've only been posting videos for about 7 days and you're already out of things to say. And yeah, that's pretty much the vibe. Um, in general, I'm not a very talkative person, like I said earlier, unless I'm ranting about something, and even that is pretty rare. Um, so just trying to force myself to speak for long periods of time is kind of hard for me. But like I said, I'm too lazy to just go and find some music that I have to like put in the description or something to be able to use. And I just don't want to do that. I have to figure out how to like make some sort of loop on like Fruity Loops or something. So that way I can just have it playing in the background and it can fade in and out for when I want things to say. But for now, these videos are quiet. Initially, when I was doing these, I wanted to have the sounds of the like the ASMR sounds of the paper going on the not the paper, the pen going on the paper. But like I said, I'm just like such a heavy breather. I don't know what it is. But I'm always like I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna do like a heavy breathing sound for you guys, but like that's the whole point of me cutting it out. If I start doing that, that's gonna be like super annoying. So that's why I cut it out when I'm editing the video because I don't like the sound of breathing. If you guys like the sound of breathing, I could put it in, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty normal to not like the sound of someone huffing and puffing in your ear. But let me know. Maybe you guys are weird. Sorry, I didn't mean that you were weird. I didn't mean to say it like that. Maybe it's perfectly normal for people to want to listen to the other sound of people breathing. I don't know. I've been off script for like 15 minutes at this point. I can only type so much because I can only think of so much to say. Yeah. You guys maybe like reviews of things, like reviews of art supplies. I have lots of types of alcohol markers I could talk about, and things that I like to use when I am drawing. But I could always I'm always looking for an excuse to get more pens. Um, which is not really a great thing, but it's true. I've tried lots of different brands of alcohol markers, but I haven't tried all of them. So maybe you guys are interested in reviews of that. Um, a couple of years ago, I was working on and I guess you could call it a video essay, but it was a what's it called? It was a deep dive into like all the different types of paper that I had used in the past, sketchbook paper, Bristol board, stuff like that, and how good it worked with alcohol markers. I had like 4 pages of notes for that and like an hour and something of footage because I was doing drawings with each type of paper and describing the ways that it would handle alcohol markers. I don't know if you guys are paper nerds like me, but I found that video really interesting. I just never finished it because I was like, nobody's gonna want to watch an hour-long video about paper, but maybe you would. I don't know what people like. That's why I'm asking. But that video is kind of outdated now. I think I was working on that in 2020 or 2019. So it's been like 4 or 5 years. I guess I could put that video together and post it, but like I said, that it's pretty outdated. Um, so the even if I talked about all that sketchbook paper, um, the companies might have changed the formula for their paper, or maybe the batches would be different because even in that video, I was talking about how the paper was different, even though the sketchbooks were the same. Like I had gotten them from the same brand, but like the batches were different. So I think 4 or 5 years could really change a lot in a paper company. But I could do like an updated video with all of the types of sketchbook paper that I'm currently using. Um, I generally don't switch between sketchbooks too much. Like I'm not really trying new sketchbooks that often. I'm at this point where I know what kind of paper I like and what kind of paper I don't like. Um, but if you guys are interested in that, I could go through some of my more recent sketchbooks and talk to you about them. Um, like I said, I'm mostly a marker artist, so I can only talk about how good things are when it comes to marker paper because that's what I like to use. Um, but I could also talk about the pros and cons when it comes to other things. I can't really tell you about watercolor because, like I said, I don't like watercolor. But pen and ink and marker and pencil, I could tell you how well those things hold up against the types of sketchbooks that I use. Alrighty, we made it to pretty much the end of the video. Hooray! So I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the next couple of videos I'm gonna be posting. Tomorrow I'm gonna be posting the first half of the marker coloring of the drawing that I posted on Monday. Just because I felt like it would be better if I just was one thing on one day and then something different on the next day, so that way you guys weren't bored just watching me do the same picture for like 3 days in a row. Yeah, so tomorrow is gonna be the first half of that coloring because that video is also like an hour long. And then on Thursday, I'm gonna go ahead and post the second half of this video. And then on Friday, I'll probably go ahead and post another sketchbook tour. I knew I said I was gonna go in the order of the sketchbooks that I drew them in, but I'm going to skip my second ever sketchbook because there's only like 5 actual drawings in there, and the rest is like the notes from when I was learning guitar at that age. And I never did learn guitar. I don't. I It was a valiant effort for trying. But yeah. So tomorrow is gonna be the first half of I'm just repeating myself. Tomorrow, alcohol marker drawing. The next day, the second half of this drawing, and then the day after that is the alcohol marker. The bubbles. If you guys want to see how I color bubbles, it'll be on Thursday, and then Friday it will once again be a sketchbook tour, but for my third ever sketchbook. So yeah, thank you for sticking with me through this whole video. I know it was super long and it was super rambly, but maybe you're into that sort of thing. Um and you're going to want to come tomorrow because the video is also probably going to end up being 30 minutes long, unless I cave and decide to speed it up, but I don't think I will because I'm pretty stubborn. So I will see you tomorrow for that video and hopefully for the rest of the week for the other ones that I described. Um, I gotta make this outro last at least 10 more seconds. Okay, thank you and bye bye. I did the whole video. Okay, I did it. Bye. See you later.